G'day, it is Monday the 1st of March, so just like to welcome everybody back to level 2. No surprises there, and for those of you in Auckland, get comfortable with level 3, guys. You're going to be there for a week. So look, a number of things I guess have developed over the weekend. Obviously, we've got some community cases in Auckland that have meant that Auckland's moved back into level 3 and the rest of the country is at level 2. So what I thought I would do today is look, IRD and MSD are now the two spaces where you can go to get some financial support for your business. So I thought what I would do is I would just run you through some of those options that you've got and where to get them. Well, I did do a little video, I think it was either last week or might have been the tail end of the week before, and apologies for the audio being terrible. Just got a new laptop, and as a result, the old USB-As don't go into the USB-Cs, and so it was a little bit S in terms of the USB connection side of things. But hey, look, we're up and running now. So a couple of things that I wanted to touch on today are obviously the support, financial support that you can access as a business. So there is now 2 government departments that you can interact with to get some financial support. One of them, which has just been enacted and got a bit of criticism over the weekend, is Inland Revenue. They are the ones that are actioning what they call these resurgence support payments. So basically, you can go to this website here, and I'll link it in the video, but it gives you a bit of an understanding about the resurgence support payments, which is basically a grant, which is very different from what has been supplied previously by MSD. Basically, the grant is, as you can see here, $1,500 per business with an additional $400 per full-time employee, up to a maximum of 50, and then there's 4 times the actual revenue drop, but it is the lower of both of those two. So I think most people will probably end up, or most businesses will end up sitting in this top bucket here. Look, there are still some requirements in terms of decreased turnover over a period of time, and what I'll do is I'll link this so you guys can actually see what the conditions are, but you apply for this through the Inland Revenue website. It's not through MSD. So that's been one of the changes, as you can see here, IRD COVID-19. They have included a little resurgence support payment calculator, which brings up this little window here, and then what it does, it says, hey, look, how many full-time employees you got? I think we've got 4 and 4 part-timers, and so what it does, it will automatically do the calculations for you. And so here it says you may not receive it. So it gives, may not receive the maximum resurgence support if your revenue decline was below $1,000. So there's already some tests and bits and pieces in there, but it will give you an idea about roughly what your entitlement will be. Probably one of the biggest changes, I guess, compared to the MSD subsidies is that amount there, which was on the calculator. If we go back to that, 4,300, you've actually got to enter that into your GST return. So that's probably the biggest change from what was listed, I guess, as the subsidies. Is this is actually a grant that's administered by Inland Revenue. So those that are being affected by level 2, which probably not too many of you are going to qualify at level 2, but certainly those businesses in Auckland who are at level 3 should be investigating this resurgent support payment. So if you know anybody who's got a business in Auckland and they're pretty much shut down, send them a copy of this video and a copy of this link. That would be the best way of helping them out. So that is the resurgent support payment. The other options that you have to get a bit of financial support are actually still being run by MSD. And so I'll flick over to this page here. Basically, and I'll put this link in the video description as well in the comments. This is basically the MSD COVID-19 financial summary support page for business. And so there's a couple of things. One of them is the what they call the STAP, the short-term absent payment, which I covered off, I think it was last week or the week before, which this is basically a one-off payment of $350 per eligible worker. And what is an eligible worker is somebody that is awaiting a COVID-19 test or their results and cannot work from home. And so really it is just a one-off payment to cover them for the 2 or 3 days that they can't work while they're awaiting the outcome of those tests. So this is really simple. You basically go through to the application page here, and you can apply for it online. And as I sort of said in my last video, it's basically very similar to the original subsidy calculation. You've got to put in the person's name, ID number, how many hours they work. You've also got to include your business details as well. In terms of doing that. So really good if you've got somebody who may have been in Auckland and has been suggested that they go and get a test because they've got a cough or some of the other symptoms, go and have a test, get them to stay at home, and then also apply if they can. If they can stay at home and work, obviously that's fantastic. If they can't work from home, then obviously apply for the short-term absence payment. The next one down is basically for those who are required to self-isolate, is basically a leave support scheme that they can, that businesses can access while people are self-isolating. And so obviously the self-isolation has really been called into question, I guess, with the in Papatoetoe, because there were, according to Jacinda, 300 close contacts that were required to self-isolate and 2,000 that were casual contacts that needed to isolate as well. And I think where the frustrations come from is some of those people have been at work, some of those have been out in the community, when in reality they should have been at home. And also there's a bit of a question about, you know, how employers have had some sort of impact on this. The key thing is look, if you have somebody that tests positive, they need to be in isolation. If they're a close contact, they need to be in isolation. As a business, you can apply for these leave support schemes. So yeah, the wage subsidy is not really in effect at the moment, and there are some other options there as well. So anyway, that is pretty much it. One of the other things that we noticed, I guess, in the PM's address, Jacinda's, and also a lot of things that have been coming out in the media recently, certainly Business New Zealand and the trade unions have been jumping on board with this. And it is kind of a bit of a product of this government, which is, it sounds like, I mean, employers have always got I guess, a part to play, but it seems like the likes of Jacinda, the trade unions and Business New Zealand are starting to shift the emphasis onto business and business owners, that they start to take more responsibility of whether their team should be at the workplace or they should be at isolation at home, and doing some checks around that. So look, very much a product of the government. You know, we've seen it in relation to landlords and tenants, where landlords are having to take on like a parent-child relationship with their tenants. It looks like there's kind of a bit of a push in terms of employers to take on that same sort of responsibility, because when left to the individual, look, the questions may be, I guess, not answered in the way that they should be, in the sense that, hey, look, if I'm feeling sick and I'm a close contact, should I be at home? The answer is yes, but it shouldn't take your employer to work that one out. But it seems like because of the situation and the behaviour in Auckland, that hasn't been the case, and so now it's probably going to be something that falls upon employers in terms of make sure that people that are supposed to be isolating are isolating, and certainly aren't being encouraged into work and actually actively being told to go home. So look, that's something that you should always be doing anyway, is looking after your team. Certainly one thing that we have here in the office is whenever there's a shift in the alert level, we've got some communications that go out, who's going to be in the office, who isn't, and just making sure that everybody kind of knows where they're supposed to be, and if they don't need to come into work, then there's no point in doing that. So we've got a couple of guys who work part-time and don't need to be in the office to complete a number of their tasks. So what we've done is we've asked them to stay at home. So yeah, so I guess the summary is look, hey, if you've got some workers that aren't feeling very well and should be tested, get them tested and get the STAP payment. If you've got somebody who registers as a close contact, then they need to be isolating at home. You can get some help, you can get some financial assistance for that as well. And also, if you're having because you're at level 2 or level 3, and that's really clamping down your business, then there's also the resurgence support package as well, which you can apply through IRD. Look, if you've got any questions, get in touch with us. Otherwise, if there's anything else you want us to cover off, let me know in the comments, and I'll try and post another video later this week if there's any more developments or anything else that as your advisor you need to know. All right, take care, guys.